17 deputy sheriffs, same department. Well, they have been indicted, charged with fraud, COVID relief fraud. Put up the picture, full mass. Now, they're claiming this was not some kind of massive conspiracy, just a coincidence. It was announced Thursday that 17 Florida deputies of the Broward Sheriff's Office are accused of falsifying paperwork to collect money under government programs meant to help keep small businesses alive during the COVID pandemic. Officials allege the fraud came from assistance offered by the PPP loan and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan programs. Charges were brought in 17 separate cases filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. All are charged with fraud. 8 of them work in law enforcement, including a sergeant. 9 of them work in the Department of Detention, including another sergeant. U.S. Attorney, his name is LaPointe, said the officers are accused of diverting funds for their personal use and made clear it was not done in performance of their official duties. Collectively, the 17 individuals took about $500,000. He said our office and our law enforcement partners will continue to uncover the fraud schemes and hold anyone involved accountable. Our work is not done. This investigation is ongoing. Let's put him up. Sheriff Gregory Toney. Okay, we've had him in our crosshairs before. So Sheriff Toney also said the employees were initially suspended with pay. So you could steal money and still make money. I mean, being an officer is something else. So they were suspended with pay on October 6th, then without pay on Thursday. But none have been told to resign. They're going to wait for the results of the investigation. Per the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, Toney said the investigation began in 2021 because of an unrelated internal affairs investigation of an employee when they discovered loan fraud. So you basically have a proper investigation taking place in something separate. And during the proper investigation, they uncovered possible criminal activity, which allows them to investigate that possible criminal act. That's what you have here. The Public Corruption Unit received a tip from an employee that several employees may have committed PPP fraud, he said, okay? As they reviewed who among the BSO's 5,600 employees had obtained a PPD or EIDL loan, investigators realized the fraud could be more widespread. They then began to look into all of the employees who applied for the loan. Toney said it narrowed down to about 100 people. LaPointe, who's your federal prosecutor, said that of those, only one had been cleared. So basically 100%, but that one, all right? No details were shared about the status of the other cases, other than to say the investigation is ongoing. The investigation was handed over to the U.S. Attorney's Office to pursue under its South Florida COVID-19 Fraud Strike Force team and was conducted jointly with the Office of Inspector General for the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System and the County Sheriff's Office. A few detention deputies reached out to the union, all right, to find out their options. Last week, they were suspended, said Tony Marciano, the secretary and treasurer of the Detention Deputies Union. He said the deputies had their uniforms, guns, and badges taken away. Yeah, that's kind of what happens when you're told to get the hell up out of here. All right. Quote, the majority of detention deputies are hardworking, good people. People make mistakes. I got to say this. I'm not a fan of unions who cannot tell the truth. And typically police unions are among them. But sir, you got to be the worst damn spokesperson I have seen in a long time. You have basically said they're guilty. All right. If I were a prosecutor, I would utilize your statement and say, sir, when you say they made a mistake, are you talking about they did in fact steal the money? Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean by that? Okay. There's more. The South Florida U.S. Attorney's Office, hell of a thing, has been pursuing cases, pandemic relief fraud cases involving the program, which was run by the Small Business Administration, AKA SBA, and high-profile convictions have included the daughter of the former mayor, a sheriff's office detention technician who received a loan for a business that didn't even exist according to the evidence, a political consultant, and 2 former Miami police officers. Now, before I read you these names, why would the police not think they could steal your money? You got to think about this. The psychology that exists or permeates inside of policing in general, why would they not believe they could steal your money? That's why. Because they can kill people and get away with it. They have a license to do these things. And all of a sudden, a whole machine will come to their defense. People they've never met before will give them money, raising over $1 million just because you shot and killed someone that was unarmed. Why would you ever believe that person would not think they could steal federal money? All right, let's put the names up of the indicted. It's a lot of them. I'm going to read every single one of them. Stephanie Diane Smith, Lakeitha Lawhorn, Jean-Pierre Toussaint, Alexander Costa, George Anthony III, Rory Brown, Derek J. Nesbitt, Marcus Errol Powell. All right, so those are the cops. Those are your deputy sheriffs. Let me go to your detention officers. Keith Dunkley, Katrina Brown, Joel Farrell Johnson, Cassandra Tamisha Davis, Carolyn Denise Wade, Alexis Monique Green, Richie Noah Dubujan, Alan Dorville, and Ancy Morency, all indicted. We got that from the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. This is the largest takedown of officers in decades, right? Maybe. The sheriff's office crackdown is one of the largest single agency crackdowns in South Florida since Miami River Cop scandal. In the late 1980s, nearly 10% of the Miami Police Department was arrested, fired, suspended, or reprimanded after a drug-related scandal, which included officers planning to fly small planes loaded with about 400 to 500 kilogram shipments of cocaine from Colombia to either Mexico or the Bahamas, then to transport the drugs to Miami for nationwide distribution. That scandal also included them actively recruiting drug dealers to become police officers. Wow. All right, Aida, thoughts here.
You know, I grew up in Miami, so it's like, wow. You know, every time Florida pops up in the media, I cringe because I'm like, what story is going to outdo the last story?
Right.
But, you know, isn't it interesting that cops commit crimes and they get to investigate the cops? They kill people, and then the cop, they were like, hold on, the cops will be investigating the cops. We'll be right back with you with what
exactly.
And it is just, you know, we need a wash. This country needs a wash. Our judicial system, our legal system. It's just, the corruption is so deep that, you know, our country's a joke. People look at us from abroad and are like, this is supposed to be a superpower. Look at these people. But my company got a loan during COVID because I needed to keep my production afloat. And you know what I did? I paid it back. Mm-hmm. I paid the money back because I know there are consequences and repercussions for stuff like that, especially for someone like me who does not have the privilege of hiding behind a badge. Yep. But, you know, I just think it's egregious. It's gotten to the point where it's ridiculous. And every time we hear these stories, how much more do we need to allow these systems to continue going before the American people say, I'm going to stop employing these people because these people work for me? It's ridiculous.
That's right. And here's the thing. What they are accused of is a crime of moral turpitude, which also means let's now look at what they've put on affidavits. Because if they'll lie about this, they'll lie about that. Have they lied about investigations? Have they testified falsely under oath? We now need to look at all of the investigative dynamics in their history. Typically, that doesn't happen, but I always have to state it for the record.